We're going to start with the IC, because the IC is the deepest, most mystical point. It's the most deepest point within your subjective being, within yourself. It's how it's kind of like the umbilical cord of the soul. It's how the soul is connected to the body inside. And from there, it projects out into the world. So the midheaven represents how far you go or how much you're going to do out in the world. And the exterior status, then it comes back down to how you take things in at the IC. So the IC, I call it the personal motivation point. The personal integrity. It's two types of motivation, there's the subjective inner motivation. Maybe integrity is a better word, but they're both subjective integrity, subjective motivation, how you hold yourself together. When you get up in the morning, why bother to get up? What motivates you? What makes you tick? Where are you coming from? What you're doing, and what are you trying to achieve? That's the outer motivation. That's the midheaven. Your position in the world, your status, what you're accomplishing, what you're trying to drive to. But the IC is where you're coming from. Where do we come from? We come from our mothers, inside our mothers. We come from our last night's sleep. We woke up out of the sleep. We woke up out of our mother. We woke up out of our sleep, and we start going out into the great unknown. Every day, this cycle repeats. Really, it's a miracle we live a day. Just on germs, just on anything, it's a miracle we live a day. That we live more than a day, what an incredible miracle. Every day is a miracle. Some may be more miserable than others, but they're still miracles. Okay, so when the IC, so the sign that the IC is going to show the color of your motivation or your integrity, you're motivated by that sign, by the daylight increasing or nighttime increasing, by the greater darkness or greater light. You're motivated to be more independent or more involved with other people, more responsible. So you can be deeply motivated. In this chart, it's Taurus. So the Carl Jung, he was motivated by the daylight increasing daylight. He's got to do his thing, his way of seeing things. But somebody can have Capricorn or Scorpio down there, and they can be very socially motivated, although it may not be sure they're doing things for others. They want to fit in, they want to belong, they have a need to achieve. So if Capricorn were there, you'd see possibly the inhibition. I'm depressed where I come from. I have an inhibition about where I come from. It wasn't good enough, or it was difficult or whatever, and I have to overcome that. So there's a projection to overcome the difficulties. And that inhibition turns into ambition once you get it going. So, but this, as each planet's going to touch the IC, the IC has a relationship to each and every planet. It's affected by the moon. There's 360 degrees. Each degree has its own relationship to it, and each planet is always in a relationship to the IC, to your motives. Your motivation is going to affect the way you feel and how secure you are. Your motivation is going to affect the way you think, the way you value, the way you like. Your motivation is going to affect your confidence. Your motivation is going to affect how you put energy out. Your motivation is going to affect how you understand things out there. Your motivation is going to affect how you accomplish things. Your motivation is going to affect your relationship to excitement or to romance or to even just power and truth. So, but it's touching you deeply. It has a deep inner thing. So many deep inner complexes. Anything you're trying to fix in yourself, you're working on your inside. There may be outer situations say you're crazy or this and that. Oh boy, I'm not fitting in here. What's wrong with me? And you have to go back in and fix yourself. But really, if you get your inside clear, it'll have a clearer presentation outwardly, and there'll be less interference. There'll still be a basic difference between inside and outside, between your subjective being and the outer reality. But how much texture, how much depth, how much flack or tension do we build up between our inner world and our outer world? So when we're looking at this IC, we're looking at our inner world, our inner personal, most intimate point. So the IC is at the beginning, it sits at the third house and the fourth house. And it's between the two, between your sense of security and home and mom and your ability to express yourself and communicate, third house. And really, since the planets move from the fourth house to the third house to the second house to the first house, they move around in a clockwise manner through the house because the Earth is moving, turning counterclockwise in the northern hemisphere. What motivates you is often how you think and how you communicate. If you're messed up and how you're motivated, or your home or your security, you have a bad night's sleep, it's going to affect how you talk, how you think, and what you start to, how do you make sense out of things. It's going to bias it. So this IC is the pivot of what you project and how you take things in. You're taking things in, you're having to project. If you're being put down all the time, you feel there's something wrong with you. If you're being supported, it's much more difficult to do anything. If you're being supported, you're getting good feedback, it's much easier to do things. So between taking things in and putting things out, the two quadrants, the intuition and feeling quadrants, where our pivotal point is established there, where we judge everything, where we take everything, where everything's centered around. It's the fulcrum. What would you say? You know, when you have these gyroscopes, and you can have them, and you spin them, and they just hold their own. You can move them around, but they're spinning, and they maintain their own sense of gravity around that point. That's your IC. Everything else is a gyroscope around it. We see it as what motivates us, where we're coming from, that inner depth, that personal thing, which almost afraid to show anyone else, but sometimes we let people in and we expect they're going to be safe there. They're often not. You know, some people hit it, and people never, don't try and show that at all. Depends on how the chart is, whether you're close. So, I mean, with the sun, the higher the sun is to the midheaven, the more higher profile, the more lower the sun is, the more low profile you are. So there's this gradation going from the IC up to the MC as to the level that things apply out. But okay, let's just start with the moon. If the moon's affecting your IC, it's like for you to be centered in your inner being, for you to integrate yourself, for you to be integrated in your own day-to-day life, in your own person, within yourself, and be okay. For you to feel, you have to feel okay about yourself. You have to live right. You have to, the things of the moon, memories, the past, mother, home, are going to have a very predominant effect on your IC. If it's in Cancer, you have some of that effect anyways because of the ruler. But if the moon's on the conjuncted or square it or opposed it, or, I mean, we all get affected by our past and our memories, and they can come up and affect, or probably do affect every moment, our personal inner motivation. But if you have an aspect from the moon, a conjunction, a square, or opposition, there's stress there. There's tension there with mom, with home, with feeling secure, with remembering things, with the past. So the past comes in as it's almost like a spirit. Each thing that interferes with, that stresses your IC, is stressing your foundation and making you pay attention to it more. And that's probably taking you away from your inner depth of meditation where you're detached from it. So the moon hitting the IC, it's personal things, it's feelings, mom, home, family, habits, needs. They all come in, and you're motivated by what you need. You're motivated by how you feel, you know, and you're motivated by your habits. Your habits affect your motivation, and this, your whole integrity is tied up to this. But there's extra work. If there's there's extra need to get good habits and to set one lifestyle okay. If there's a conjunction, square, opposition, a stressful aspect from the moon, because the moon is coming in and affecting that IC. So that IC is not going to be at peace until the moon's at peace. And there's this there, it's in your chart, it's going to be there all your life. So there's extra effort that's needed to deal with mom, get away from mom, to deal with home, get away from home, to deal with feelings and memories, get rid of the old bad memories, how to turn the memories into positive things. You can't do it without living day to day or living your life right. So even the IC is spinning on its own. If the moon's making that aspect, it's bringing stress from the feelings and the memories and the moods. And those memories and moods of the moon are really affecting your motivation. So you're going to take them much more personally. You're going to take them much deeper, much more seriously. Family things, personal things, connections to mom, memories, someone got close to you, feelings, food, security, all the personal things of the moon weigh heavily on your motivation. So there'll always be a tendency to remember a difficult thing or remember a bad thing, and then be motivated by that bad thing. I got to get away from this, or I can't stand this, or I won't do this, or I can't. There's ability for that to turn negative very easily, and the work is to make it positive, or to diminish the negative, or to not be so attached, to hold your integrity in spite of that. So you can see the standard of your integrity by the categories of the signs that are on the IC. Daylight, greater, nighttime, greater. You see the basic style of how you have to hold it together. Then you see the puzzles or the problems from family, from home, from security, from just the ability to reflect. It may make it difficult to focus in the moment. Easy to get spaced out, or easy to just have those. It's really the memories are coming up and they're affecting your motivation. And if they're good, they may affect them good. If they're bad, they're going to affect them bad. So the challenge becomes you have to live well. You have to learn how to live correctly, eat correctly, sleep correctly, live regularly, if anyone really even does that. But to the degree that you don't, there'll be more dietary, physical, personal, even perhaps health problems from that moon, from poor nutrition becomes important, basic functions become important. It's just, so you see it, you're not going to know exactly what it is. You see the moon in the sign it's in. You see the moon in the house it's in. So you get an idea of how the moon works. And that moon will try and put pressure on the integrity. And the integrity and the personal motivation is trying to do things either because of the moon or in spite of the moon, or having to fight it. There's a factor there that's going to take some of the energy that's different than just sitting at home and meditating or being at peace and being calm. You get up, I got to deal with mom, or I got to deal with the kid, or I got to deal with, like, family things are going to hit this primal factor. So you could even say, just from that, genealogy might be important. All the things relating through the moon, which is everything before this moment, which is where your integrity, inner integrity is right in this moment, but it's colored by everything before this moment, which is memories. Now, if that's affecting your personal motivation, what are your choices of what you're going to do? What are you going to respond to? What are you going to do? It's going to be colored by that. If it's bad, you're going to run away from it or fight it. If it's good, you're going to try and live in it or feel you don't live up to it. Or there'll be the pressure there. Most likely showing in the mom and the home. But really, memories, habits, feelings, all the factors of the moon are affecting that person's motivation, inner motivation. That inner motivation is going to affect how you project everything out and what you try and accomplish. Midheaven. So if you had a really bad family and difficult home, it's enough just to get out of the house and get by on your own. That's a huge midheaven accomplishment. So it's a simple thing, but these are primal things to understanding a person in their horoscope, to understanding a person in life and their unique puzzles. We're not defining it, we're tuning in to say, this is like this. Okay. Then we're looking for examples, and as we meet people, we find more and more examples, and we see these things confirmed, but often in more vivid ways than we might have imagined.